Welcome to the Futur3 Podcast. Boom. I'm Sean.
I'm Shaylin.
And I'm Sign.
And we are the Futur3 Podcast.
Most people pick one career and stick with it. Today's guest has about 5, and somehow they all make sense together. He studied electrical engineering, worked on submarine systems for the U.S. Navy, launched his own law practice, moved to Los Angeles and became a film producer, got certified as an NFL agent, and is now back in the Philadelphia area doing it all at the same time. Please welcome to the Futur3 Podcast, Mr. Neal Sampat.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Interesting career for you, right? Going around all these industries.
Careers, yeah, with an S at the end. Yeah. Everyone in itself could be a career.
Yeah.
And it's just a path that led me to where I am today on the podcast with you guys, So
Exactly.
no regrets in that department.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you've been, as you mentioned, a Navy engineer, a lawyer, a film producer, and an NFL agent. But if you had to choose one that's been the most underrated, what would it be?
Out of those choices, I would still say that I don't even know if it's underrated, but being the lawyer, because the lawyer allowed me to do everything else after that. So just to give you a quick example, one career I did not mention was a DJ and had my own entertainment company.
Nice.
And do weddings, and the weddings in our cultures are 3, 4, 5 days or whatever they are, but so an example of that is when I was with the Navy as an engineer, I focused more on project management. And my job was to remove and replace communications equipment on submarines in Hawaii and Groton, Connecticut. So there'd be a lot of planning for it because, we have to remove the old antenna. We have to put the new antenna and all the communication equipment. But while we're doing that, the submarine is what they call a dry dock. They put in a dock, take all the water out. And the point is that it took a lot of project management skills to perform those actions. Now, when you do a wedding, and I don't know if you have, but I'm sure you've attended them, there's a lot of planning that goes in it. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not changing communication equipment on a submarine, but the skill is the same, that I have to organize what are we going to do when, what time, when's the food being delivered, when's lunch being served, when's dinner, when are the guests come in, right? So it's the skills for that. I learned logic being an attorney, also being an engineer, right? So they kind of fit that way. So now when I'm becoming an NFL agent, or when I became one, it was the logic of, okay, this guy is best on this team. This guy's best at earning this much money. This guy can't demand more than this because they have an all-pro tight end. And our guy will not get the same amount of money. NFL teams don't do that. Same way when I'm doing films, I'm also the production counsel. So that's my lawyer part of it. Mm-hmm. But it's also project management, because it's, when do we start filming? What do we need to film? What permits do we need? Do we need streets blocked off? Do we need, where's the camera coming in from, right? So do we need an extra door opened on this side? And do we need lighting? We were filming a scene, supposed to be, I think, 2 p.m. and we're filming at like 2 a.m., but we lit it up. So all that is, okay, how much lighting do we need, right? So it's all, again, project management. So to answer the long answer to your short question is, I think my attorney skills have been the most underrated, because a lot of times people look at attorneys and they think, oh, you're in court all day and you're just fighting and you're arguing. And that's, there's a whole streamline of career for that, but not everything a lawyer does revolves around arguing in court. Some of it is just filling forms. Some of it is strategic. How do I fill out this immigration form so this guy looks like he should be able to come into the country? How do I purchase this business without giving away all my, the seller's assets or things like that? So the lawyer skills, I think, are the most important, because there's so many skills we learned in law school, and it can apply to so many things in the future, whether careers or just individual things that come up in life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's clearly a lot of commonalities in between everything you've done. And I mean, most people your age too, they're still kind of in one position, just still trying to figure it out. But what do people who knew you back in the day react when they see your resume today?
I don't hang with those people anymore. No, I'm just no. They are surprised by the career choices I made, but I don't think they're surprised that I did it. And I'm not tooting my horn or anything, but I was straight A student. I was knew how to network. I knew how to be social. So I met a lot of people. I was smart enough to do well in what I did. So I don't think it would surprise them to see that I'm doing all this stuff. I think what was surprising is the jump.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like your career was kind of like trial and error in a way, right? Like,
No, it was the only part I want to say was the error part, but it was a trial in the sense that I don't regret any of the choices or the directions I went.
Yeah, and how did you kind of balance all those careers? Because those are pretty serious
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, as soon as I know how, I'll tell you. But doing it, it's a matter of now. Lucky I have associates who work with me in the firm, so I'm not by myself. So it's where there are cases that I know my associates can handle, those are getting to them. So that way it frees me more time to handle my true passion of film and TV.
Yeah, and since you have such a deep love with movies and TV shows, what's your favorite one?
Favorite movie is Airplane
Mm,
of all
what's
time.
that about?
I haven't seen
Yeah, the original, not the one that just came out, I think, last year. It's the original one. You know, um, and a lot of people ask me why. That they think it would be like a drama or a
Mhm.
courtroom
Yeah.
movie. It was just so stupidly funny, but intelligent funny, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the word like you have to listen to the words to get the jokes, and I like that. I like those kind of movies where the words matter. Um, so to me, it was funny because they would take everyday cliches like hospital, what is it? And the other person will say it's a big building with patients. And it's like, oh yeah, we say hospital, what is it all the time? Implying like, what's the problem? Why is he in the hospital? They took it to the literal meaning, and I thought that was just uh, very inventive and intelligent, for them to do. So I love that.
Exactly. So, I mean, clearly you love the creative side of things, especially in movies and shows. But I want to take it back to high school. Just you as a person, were you more of someone who was more attracted to the technology and the sciences side of things, or were you more on the creative and like not so techie
Innovative.
side of things?
Yeah, I would say in high school, I would probably say 99% tech.
Mm.
1% creative. I
Really?
I think it was in me, but I didn't know it was in me, to
Mhm.
be honest. In fact, the first 2 years, freshman and sophomore year, I was very shy. It's hard to
Mhm.
believe. I was very, very shy. It would be hard to get even 2 words out of me, you know? Uh, it was just one of those things. Then, the moment I know everything turned was I was working in the movie theater, and, I was working the crowd, which means I stand, ripped up the tickets as you go in, like the usher and all that. And there was a bat loose in the theater, and there was Batman just came out, so there was about 100, the original Batman, and maybe it was 100 people in the theater waiting for the previous show to end, and then they'll come. And there was bat loose, so people were freaking out. And my manager said, "Just go handle that." I was like, "What? Like, I don't even like talking to you, more than 3 words individually alone in the office, and you want me to handle that?" I said, "Okay, I'll try my best." And I went out there and everyone was like, "What's the problem? What's the bat?" And I said, "Listen, it's a promotion for the new Batman movie. Don't worry about it. It's a trained bat, and when you're in the theaters, it comes out at the right time." And they were all like, "Oh, okay. That's awesome." I was like, "Wow, that was easy." Like they believe what I say. And the second part was that there was a movie called K2, and just at the same time, our air conditioner broke and it would blast, full blast. So it was probably like 15, 20 degrees in the theater, right? Or at least it felt like it. I'm sure it was a little bit warm.
Yeah.
And people complained. I said, no, that's the studios made us do it because K2 was about climbing the second tallest mountain in the world called K2. So they want you to feel like you're on the mountain with them. So they're purposely doing this. And everyone was like, wow, that's so great. That's so great. And I was
You're
like,
creative.
"Oh," yeah, I was like, I can do this. Like, I know how to talk to people. Like, and I didn't know I had it in me. But after sophomore year, then I think the little more creative started creeping in. But like I would enjoy making home movies. I would enjoy mixing songs. I didn't have any equipment to do it, so it's just like on the tape recorder. Wasn't good quality at all, but it was still the idea that I liked it.
That's cool.
It's actually really smart to think of those things about the movies, because I'm
Yeah,
sure not many people can think of like the air conditioning breaking, then oh, it's a part of the movie, and then
right.
the Batman movie. Not many people can think of that, so that was like really smart.
Yeah,
And
it's
Yeah,
all about the
yeah,
delivery in those situations, right? Like if you say it like you're nervous and like you're not so sure if you're right or not, they're probably not
right.
gonna believe you. But if you're like, oh, come on, it's just for the movie, you got to understand that. And then they're like, oh, okay, fine, you're right, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they trusted a 16-year-old or 17, whatever it was, but they did. But I also learned at that moment. Well, I don't know if I learned it at that moment, but looking back, that's the moment I think I learned that I'm good on my feet.
Yeah, confidence is 90% of the battle.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I would even say maybe even higher, right? And especially nowadays, I think you can get away with 95%. But
100%.
you're absolutely
yeah,
correct. If you believe it, other people will believe it too.
yeah.
Um, I think the statute of limitations run out, but when I was working at the Navy Yard, just a quick story, I would get a clipboard. I had a shirt and tie, and get a clipboard and get my work ID. And I used to tell the Sixers I'm part of the Utah Press because we're playing the Utah Jazz.
Mhm.
Nobody knows who the Utah Press, and I make a newspaper up in Utah, and this is obviously before internet or just as a starting, so you
Yeah.
can't like verify. And they're like, okay, he has a clipboard, he has a notebook, like he must be legit. And it was just the confidence of walking in. That's all that mattered. I did in the 1993 Phillies World Series. I walked in the garage and I said, I'm here to see Leroy. And he's like, Leroy? He's like, yeah, he told me to meet him here. And the guy was like, well, why don't you go inside and see if he's there? And I
Oh
went right
wow.
to the concourse and I was gone, and I got to see Schilling pitch a gem that day in Phillies win. I think it was like 2-0 or something. But,
You probably could
you
have
know,
ended up in the dugout.
yeah, then I was like, maybe I'll get on camera and then I'll be no good, But see, there's a limit, right? Can't push
Yeah.
it too far, but things like that. Yeah, what you're saying is absolutely correct. That it's confidence. If you feel confident, you walk like you're confident, you talk like you're confident, people are going to believe. Okay, whatever he's doing, he knows he's supposed to be doing it. I'm not encouraging you to do what I did. I'm not saying, and it's harder now to
Don't
do it
try this
because
at home. He's a trained professional.
right, especially with cameras and internet, and now they have barcodes and all that. But
Yeah.
it was things that I didn't think there was any harm, so I did it. But the confidence plays a big part, whether I'm in the courtroom or I'm on set or I'm talking to an actor. The confidence helps them, because we have issues on set all the time. And as a producer, my job is to put out those fires.
So you did engineering and then you pivoted to law, which is a
Right.
very, very massive pivot. What happened between graduation and law school that made you change directions?
So, well, like I said before, the law school was always there. It was always a dream because the agent was the dream. So to be an agent, I wanted to. It was said highly likely be a lawyer. But something about the law drew me into because I said, I think I'm good at that. I'm good at logical arguments. I think I'm good at it. So I did it for 4 years, and at first I thought I was going to do patent law because that's the logical jump from engineering to law school
Yeah.
is patent law. So what my job with engineering was, I would sit at my desk, look at drawings, put new drawings, write what they are, and then we go out to wherever Hawaii or Connecticut and implement what that is. Whatever we drew and whatever plans we had. I shadowed a patent attorney who actually worked in the same place where I worked in the Navy Yard in South Philadelphia, and she sat at her desk all day and did drawings. And I said, okay. And then when do you get to go out? She's like, no, I sit at my desk all day. I
Oh,
said, well, that's what I was doing as the Navy, but I got to go to Hawaii. I got to go to Connecticut. I got to go Virginia Beach, Florida, wherever, bases are. So why am I switching to do this? I don't want to do patent law. And plus, I think I became very sociable by then. So I said, I like talking to people. I like doing that. So it was one of those things that I knew. Well, I was getting married, and my fiance at the time, wife now, was kind of like, if you want to go to law school, go to law school. Like once we get married or your life is changing, go. And I figured if I am changing my life in that aspect, let me just change completely. And like, this is the time to do it, especially,
yeah.
before I have kids and bigger responsibilities, that makes it tougher. So it was more, if you're going to do it now.
It's amazing. I have a quick question. What
Yep.
point what point in your career were you at during COVID?
I was in the middle of filming a movie. I was representing two players, and courts were shut down in California.
Yeah.
Then eventually the college shut down visits by agents to pro
Yeah.
days or practices, and then the film industry shut down. So that's when we decided to move back to Philadelphia. So during that time, it was a matter of packing up, and we could not hire anyone to pack up because at that time, people weren't allowed or didn't want to go into apartments, things like that. So that's where I was then. All three of everything I was doing was shut down. So, but it was a massive move to move cross country with two kids, two cars. Nobody helped packing, so every day. And then what was difficult was the schooling, right? Teaching our kids to do schooling
Yep.
because it was just brand new. Zoom or, remote learning was just kind of starting, or I think that propelled it. So it was like the teachers were giving homework as if they were in school. I was like, okay, I don't have time for this because I got to pack all our stuff. But we can't fully pack because they still need their laptops and beds and, things like that. But that's where I was. I was in the process of deciding to move to come back here just because everything was shut down and everything was through remote meetings. So even I was talking to other producers, directors, it was all through Zoom now. And I said, okay, well then I don't really need to be in LA. And that's where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference between a producer and a director? Like when it comes
Okay.
to film?
Yeah, absolutely. So the director, okay, I'll reframe it this way. Think of you're going to build a skyscraper.
Mhm.
You have the executive producers who are going to fund it. So they said, okay, we're going to pay for this skyscraper. Then you have the producers who are kind of the foreman on the ground, and the person who's the lead uh, person to tell, okay, here's where the cement goes. Stack the glass there for all the windows. Put this over here, or don't order cement till we're ready. We still got to put the steel beams up, but make sure the steel beams, all that logistics goes
Yeah.
back to the project manager. That's the producer. Now the directors, okay, we want this office decorated in maroon paint, in blue paint. So the director is like, this is how I want the camera to move. I want him to come in from this door, pan over this person, and then go tight on this other person as they're speaking. So he's like, this is what I have in my head. The producer does everything in their power to make it so. So it's more of, oh, you want to pan in from left to right, but look, there's a wall there. We can't do it. So either we have to drill a hole in the wall, which most places don't want us to do, or can you change it? And the director will come in from the front or something like that. So the director controls the shots, controls the angles, controls the lighting, controls almost everything that you see on the film, if that makes sense. Director, everything you see on the film, the lighting, the way the actor speaks, are they angry? Are they sad? Director has to bring that out of the actors.
That's interesting. So it's kind of like the director is the one with the idea and the producers are the ones that make it happen.
That's a very great summary of it. Yeah. So the director knows this is how I want the film to look. And, obviously he works with the director of photography and this and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the director says, this is how I want the film to look. Just like, almost think of it like the architect of a building. He's like, this is how I want to
That's
design.
how
And
I'm
the
thinking of it.
producer's
Yeah.
like, okay, from paper to reality. So we go from script. So the director will deal with the script. Sometimes they write it, but they'll direct it and be like, yeah, I vision it this way. And it's our job to make it happen.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know, how do you become a certified NFL agent? Like, what's the process to that look like?
Okay, so first you have to, it's only once a year, and it's in January. I don't know the exact date, but the deadline is January 31st. I don't know when you start applying, maybe second, third, something like that. But you apply online, you have to submit all your credentials. You have to have a postgraduate degree. So it cannot just be 4 years bachelor's degree. It's required to have a postgraduate degree. And then there's a bunch of questions. Like that form takes about 2 hours to fill. Not hard, but it's just all these questions about you.
Yep.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law? Have you ever been in trouble, mostly with embezzling or cheating a client? Things like that. You submit it, and if they approve you, there's an exam. I think mine was August 4th, something around there. And you have I think you're told in February whether you got to that level or not. And then you just study. It's 60 questions, and you have to get at least 54 right. If you get if you get less than that, you don't become an agent.
That's crazy.
You get 2 tries. If you don't pass on 2 tries, you cannot be an agent. And it's in Washington, D.C. So you have to go down there, take the test. The first day is they just talk about what the NFLPA does, and the second day is the exam. But yeah, in some ways it was harder than the bar exam, because bar exam you generally need about a 60% to pass, and this one is a 90% to pass.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the questions are, I mean, I want to say ridiculous, but I solved them, so I can't say they're too ridiculous. But there was a wide receiver on the Browns. I can't remember his name right now, but he would always get injured, or he would always get suspended. So let's say whatever, John Smith, right? So it's like John Smith signs a contract for $1 million. He plays 8 games his first year, and then he's injured. Then the second year, he's suspended for the first 4 games for drugs. Then he plays 9 more games, and then he's injured for the rest of the year. And then the last year, he's suspended for the whole year. And his 4th year of his contract, he plays 12 games. And he's injured for 4 or something like that. How much of his contract is he due? Right. So it's like, yeah, you have to go back. You have to learn the rules that, okay, a drug suspension, he loses that money. Injury, he should still get paid. If it's an injury during work, meaning practice or a game, he gets paid, right? But if he's out riding riding his motorcycle, he doesn't get paid, right? So they'll give you 4 answers, and they're very, very close answers. Like it's 32.3 million, 32.6 million, 12 million, and it's like 18 million. And you're like, I don't know, like these 2 are close, but is that a decoy or not? And then once you pass, you're certified right away, which is kind of not good because we're not told till November. I'm like, well,
so you're
the
waiting.
season's kind of done, This was, and when I did it was 14 playoffs, not like what they have now, right? Or maybe even a 2-team playoff, or maybe not even a playoff, right? Just championship. So I was like, well, the season's basically over, right? You have your conference championship, but I can't go recruit any good players because they're already kind of recruited in the beginning of the season or before the season starts.
Yeah.
But that's your first year, and then you're required to attend these meetings once a year. And if you do that, you stay certified, but you have to have a player on the active roster every 3 years, or you lose your license.
Yeah, and how does connecting with these NFL players connect to everything else that you're doing?
It's it's the same way I get clients. It's the same way I get opposing counsel on my side. It's the same way I get juries on my side. It's just a sales. If you boil it down to it, it's a sales pitch to that player of why I'm better fit for them than anybody else, because every player is going to have agents coming after them. So I have to convince them, what am I offering different than anybody else? Or what am I going to offer that nobody else can offer? Or why are they better off, even though we offer the same things? Why am I better off with them?
Yeah, and I mean, look, your career's been so vast. You've done so many different things. So, if you were talking to your high school self, what is one thing that you would say about how everything turned out in the end?
That's a good question. I think I would say, believe in what you want to do, because it's going to work out. Maybe not exactly as you thought it would. Maybe not exactly as you planned. Like I thought I was going to be this fabulous NFL agent, the next Drew Rosenhaus, or a baseball agent or something. And okay, that's not what happened. Some of it my choice, some of it their choice, But what I learned from that is the skills to take with me. So I would say, hey, if I told myself you're going to be an engineer for only 4 years, my high school self would have said, why am I going to school for 4 years just to be an engineer for 4 years? But then I would tell my high school self, yes, but here are the skills you are taking from it, and here's where you can go with it, which is very important. I think more than the job itself, more than the career, is the skills you learn from it. I sometimes tell my kids, or I'll tell other kids that, if you're working at McDonald's, right? And I'm not knocking anybody who does work at McDonald's, but people are like, what can I learn from that? I'm like, no, you learn how to deal with customers. You learn how to handle finances. You learn how, okay, this person needs fries. There's going to be a mad rush at 12 o'clock. Let me give him the fries now so I can put on a new batch. So there's a little bit of time management, right? But take those skills and go with it. And that's what I would tell my high school self is like the skills at the movie theater I learned. that, oh, just speak and people will listen to you.
Yep.
Have confidence and people will believe you. Not that we want to lie, right? But comfort them.
Yeah. And another question that kind of relates to that is, what is your definition of success and how has it changed from your high school days to today?
Success in high school, I'm trying to remember that far back, but I think it would have been making the most amount of money I could make.
Mm.
Because everyone thinks, oh, get a job, make money, and you'll be rich, but to me, success means, obviously the number one is providing for your family. If you can provide for your family, it's a success. Whether I'm working at McDonald's, but I can provide for my family, I'm still a success, right? But it also means the privilege or maybe even the luxury of doing what you want to do. So it took me a while to get here, but now I feel like it's successful because I'm doing what I want to do. Right. So I may be the rookie on the team that nobody's quite heard of yet, but I know if I apply what I do, I can be an all-star by the end of my first contract or something like that.
I love that. You're kind of following your passion and you're staying consistent at it. And I like how in that response, you added the fact that you also need to support for your family, because
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people that fall into like, I'm obsessed with this, but I don't know if it's going to be able to provide for myself and my family to live the lifestyle that we want to maintain. So that's why I really respect what you just said, because the financial aspect, it still has some kind of value to and impact on the decisions you make in your career, right?
Absolutely. It's best if we don't have it as an end all be all that, hey,
Mhm.
I'll take this job because it pays more. It's more of, okay, I can take this job that I love doing, pays a little bit less. I can still support my family and still support the passion. So that it's definitely a factor. You can't discount it. We all live in a
Yeah.
world where we need to get paid. Otherwise, I would do stuff for my clients for free because I feel bad for them, or they're right and the other person's wrong. And I want to defend them, but I was like, okay, well, I can't tell Verizon, hey, look, I did this for my client. Don't charge me this month, right? Or tell my
Yeah.
mortgage company, yeah, don't charge me this month. I'm doing this pro bono. So yeah, finance is always a part of it, but I wouldn't let it control what I want to do.
Yeah, and which players were you an NFL agent for?
Unfortunately, nobody you would know. And this is the frustration of being an agent, I'll tell you, right? Is the best player I had was 6'5", 215, wide
Dang.
receiver.
Wow.
Like I was like, and he was built. And I was like, this dude's making it. This dude's gonna for sure make it.
Mhm.
And I had another defensive back, ran a 4.3.
Oh, wow.
He was 6'1" or 6'2", former quarterback, built, right? And I was like, this dude's making it. And so the one was at somewhere in Mississippi was his pro day, and the other one was here at Temple. So I went to the one in Mississippi, and I get there, and I'm like, "Are you ready? You ready?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I forgot my cleats."
Oh
I was like,
no.
"What do you mean you
Yeah.
forgot your cleats?" He's like, "I forgot my cleats." I said, "This is the biggest day of your life. It's all scouts from all the teams there, right?" And he's like, "I'm just gonna run in socks." I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! I trained you for like these last 3 months before the combine and all that, and he forgot his cleats. So he ran like a 4.6, 7. No, actually, it's probably closer to 4.8. Which no one's gonna be like, well, he did it in socks, right? They're gonna be like, can't remember cleats.
Yeah.
And then my other guy in Temple, the wide receiver, got there and he's like, I brought the wrong cleats. I don't have any cleats either. I said, how do you forget the most? You only have one piece of equipment that's required
Mhm.
is your cleats.
Exactly.
You know, like you're not a catcher required or a hockey goalie or even a hockey player, right? You need a stick, you need your pads, all that, or skates. But it's just like, yeah, if you're a hockey player forgetting his skates, like how do you do it? And the interesting part, obviously I wanted him on the Eagles, right? Because I was like, oh, cool, I'll get
Yeah.
tickets. And the Eagles were interested in him. They even called to be like, is he coming? Is he going to be here at this pro day? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make sure. Now I was in LA at the time. I was like, absolutely. I called his dad. He's like, yeah, he's coming. He's coming the night before. I was like, great. He gets there at 8 p.m. He's like, yeah, I don't have cleats. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, what do you want to do? And he's a size like 15 or 4. Like, so
Oh
it's
my
not like
gosh.
you can just go to Dick's. And this is in March or April, I think March, right? Because they were
Mhm.
doing pro days and stuff. So it's like Dix is not carrying football cleats anymore because going to move to baseball, right? Baseball cleats, and they're not carrying size 15 for sure because they might have had it in the fall for football, but so he borrowed somebody's cleats that were 2 sizes too big or something. So he ran like a 4.8 also, and I was like, I'm in the wrong business. But
Time to
so
go.
those are, and then after that was the pandemic, and I was like, I think I'm out.
Yeah, that's great.
So now I think it's time to flip the tables. Mr.
All
Sampat,
right.
do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. Do you know today's lottery numbers?
I wish.
No. Oh. Yeah. No. Okay. I would say for each of you, what is the best advice that you have received either through school or any jobs you're working now?
For me, I think the best advice that I received is to never give up because I feel like I know a lot of people say like don't give up, but I feel like the more I hear it, the more confident I become.
Mine is to play with confidence because, like, for sports, for example, like, if you don't play with confidence, you're not going to do well.
The best piece of advice I've ever been given was to take every single opportunity and run away with it because you never know where it could take you. For example, like you've had so many different careers and these opportunities have helped you evolve.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. If I can add advice for you guys
Yeah.
along those lines, I would say is almost like what you're saying: own the moment, be committed to the moment.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I think, yeah. And to your point, confidence is kind of what got you through your whole entire career so far. I mean, like through your talking skills, including the confidence in that, including your confidence in everything, is kind of what helps you stand out from everyone else, especially in a time now when, AI is taking over. And confidence is kind of what you need to convince people to join your side, especially in a courtroom, right?
Absolutely, and it's not even confidence to be cocky or think you know more than anybody else. It's confidence to appease who you need to appease, right? Or
Yeah.
make them feel better. So if you are potential clients of mine, and you're like, "Oh, we have this case. Should I do it? Should I not? Do I want to pay lawyer fees? Why this lawyer?" Right? It's the confidence to say, "Here's why I can do it. Here's why you should do it. Here's why I can do it better than anyone else." And that could be because of my skills, that could be because of my pricing, right? Everyone's different, but my goal is with that confidence is that you come out of it going, "Oh, I feel better now."
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for hopping onto this podcast with us. We had a great time with you.
It was my pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I wish we could do it longer,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anytime, just, I'm here. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It was a pleasure on my end too.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. Every single social media platform will be there. We are the Futur3 Podcast, and we out.
Peace.